I was sworn to secrecy on this, but I am fucking high. Life is shitty. Fuck it. This is the time I went to sell drugs at some strange rich people party where a few years back, and shit got extremely dark. Be me, Brit Bong. Grew up on shitty estate in East London. Poor family, mum unwell. British.jpg. Whole area is run by a family of gangster drug dealers. Most people there are total fuck-ups. Lots of recruits. I fuck up school. 15-year-old me. Get expelled. Oh well. Start trying to deal drugs with friends. Get robbed. Get beaten up by older boys who gave me the OZ. Fuck my life. Get older. 18. Get smarter. Start reading about businessmen and get sucked into stupid forex scams. Not that smart. Fuck this. End up with a job at a phone shop. Very shitty pay, but I get decent commission as I am good at chatting to people. Save commission. Use it to start dealing again whilst working at phone shop. Avoid gang. Be smart. Start hanging out near university, 40 minutes away from my flat. Suss out who is rich. Start selling drugs to rich kids. Doing great. Buying better suppliers for old friend who is a big gang guy. Can cut him in on the quiet. Fuck you, phone shop. Living well. Full-time party organizer. Start fooling around with some girl in the circles that I'm now providing with high-grade cocaine. She is rich as fuck, but is posh rich, like old money. Her dad is some fucking fossil fuels guy, rebelling against rich daddy by fucking drug dealer and wearing vintage 90s clothes. Into weird sex. Daddy probably diddled her. Strange world. After a few months, we meet with some of her cousins at a big party. I mean a big thing in a field with a huge tent that is built better than my old tower block. New territory here. I'm literally fucking chauffeured out of London to attend this party with a Gucci man bag they provided. I'm a charismatic guy, despite no school or real job. Realize that rich kids also don't like dealing with real gangsters. I'm a happy medium that gives them a bit of danger and good drugs, but not enough to make them run home. Everyone at the party loves me. I brought them a surprise of pills along with the coke and Mandy. All snort like Hoovers. Thank you for the drugs, dealer Anon. You are welcome, rich Anons. I'm quit zen, and the posh kids are all fucked. I attended loads of these parties and had the time of my life. By now, I have another new supplier, and my coke is the best in the area, bringing in flake to the parties. I become known as a guy that has the high quality drugs and good service. Months and months of rich people shit. Eventually, rich sort of girlfriend Anon invites me to another party. She takes me beforehand to meet loads of you-know-who's in a private suit shop in the city beforehand. Pay for a crazy nice suit. I'm looking like John Wick. A week later, we go to this party. We're in a cab that goes near Buckingham Palace. My face when, am I about to sell coke to the Queen? Not quite, but we are dropped off at some huge fucking house in an area that doesn't look like London at all. Lots of grass everywhere. The party. What the fuck is this? Different vibe altogether. Fast jazz is playing. Lots of boomers around. Everyone is chatting constantly. No one is dancing. I have to do the drug exchanges in this dark arched courtyard thing at the back of the house. These rich people are pretending they don't do drugs. They don't want single bags though. They're after like a month's supply. Make money, but don't really chat to anyone. Sipping bullshit cocktail drinks with GF-anon. Rugby looking guy approaches. Some family friend of GF-anon. Coked out of his mind. He reminds me of a well-spoken Tuco from Breaking Bad. This guy sounds like fucking Sherlock Holmes and Twister had a baby. Rugby Anon is coked out of his mind and comes across as extremely snobbish. He makes fun of my accent and starts doing a voice like an old cockney selling vegetables on the market, then starts saying, "Oi blood," at me, ready to break glass over Rugby Anon. Rugby Anon slaps me hard on the shoulder as if we're best pals and hugs me as he's laughing. What the fuck, man? I tried to stifle my rage and remember what my boxing coach always told us as kids. Be smart, not angry. Fuck this guy, but there is money to make. I pretend to laugh and cool the edgy rugby anon maniac down. The whole time, GF Anon is doing so much fake laughing, she sounds like she's going to cry. Rugby Anon explains that his dad owns haberdasheries or some shit. Rugby Anon looks after the guys who look after the buildings. Openly brags about basically having to do nothing, whilst getting insane trust fund allowance from daddy. GF Anon wants more coke. I go to walk out to the courtyard, but Rugby Anon is like fuck that. He starts whistling as he drags us upstairs to a bathroom. The whole time, he is making so much noise, and the boomer crowd look up annoyed. Rugby Anon is clearly hated more than me. We go into this odd-looking bathroom. It wasn't messy, it was pristine, but it looked like some kind of Victorian sculpture bathroom, and everything had orange tones. Rich people shit. After hoovering lines, I sell some to Rugby Anon, and he invites me to meet his friend. Downstairs, I go out to the courtyard, and we meet Rugby Anon's friend. We'll call him Seb. Rugby Anon introduces me as the chav, and Seb tells him in a very serious way to be quiet. Rugby Anon laughs it off. Odd dynamic. Seb basically does the same job as me, but he is a rich dropout related to the whole scene for family ties or some shit. Seb is posh as shit like the rest, but I later find out he has seen the world and done some bad stuff, like stealing from his parents and trying to fraud his cousins. Seems dark, but when posh people tell you they've done stuff like this, it doesn't fully register. Whatever. We get along fine. He has an edge to him, but is a funny and sharp guy. We end up working together. Long story short, but it was mostly transporting within the UK that I helped him with, via middlemen. In return, he got me into being one of the unofficially designated party organizers for a pretty big company that quietly arranges fairly high-end sex parties. These sex parties are like nothing what you'd imagine though. It's not eyes wide shut or anything. It's mostly an expensive party, where mostly ugly people talk for the majority of it. Eventually they fuck, and you can go and watch in these booths with curtains if you want. Most of the older guys watch, it's so funny. I had a set of rules working for this company where you basically have to become a silent drug vending machine. Shitty people but good money. Seb vanishes after a while, and my connect to the sex parties is cut off with him. Fucking prick. I can't get hold of him, and neither can GF Anon. A few weeks later, GF Anon tells me Seb wound up getting sectioned, which is being sent to a mental home for a while here in the UK. Seb was out pretty quick, but now lived back with his rich family, and was not possible to contact. He was all fucked up, apparently from all the drugs. Compared to those rich fucks, I was straight edge. They took drugs all the time, not just parties. Seb was just as bad as them, but took uppers all day too. After another week or so, GF Anon tells me Rugby Anon wants to talk to me. She has no idea why. She doesn't seem to care, but I am intrigued. I wanted a way to fuck over Rugby Anon ever since he tried to take me for a dickhead at the boomer party. I speak with Rugby Anon, and he tells me he needs to take me to Seb's place for a job where they are supplying to a discreet rich as fuck people party. Not like all these brats I was rolling with, but like Leo throwing midgets at dartboards rich. Drunk hit and run and get the problem disappeared rich. I said yeah, no problem. Rugby Anon said we not only going to sell coke at the party, but we actually get fucking paid to attend. I was literally hired as a freelance drug dealer on a day wage, lol. Apparently, it's not that uncommon as you climb the ladder, but to me it was new. I put in for the best flick and brought a bag of vape balls with me and some Norcos for the women pretending they weren't smackheads. Plans sorted with Rugby Anon. He explains he will meet me there. The driver is coming to get me. Says I can't go unless they pick me up directly outside my door. Strange. I was moving anyway, so said okay fine, and gave him my address. I'm picked up by a guy, driving an old Hackney cab, but it's not a taxi company. The party has its own driving service or some shit. We drive about 1 hour outside of London, to a place in a fielded area, with huge Christmas-looking trees, and what is basically the Disneyland logo behind them. Huge, beautiful house. When we get there, no one is outside, and we go down a slope into a tunnel, which opened into a huge car park, full of expensive cars. It was like cribs. Driver zips past a nice area with nice cars. We go through another tunnel, and I'm dropped off without a word. A woman in a face mask greets me. My bag is taken and sent somewhere by another guy leaning through 2 double doors. Weird. This was before Chinese bat virus hell. I tell her the name of Rugby Anon as he instructed me. She explains all these rules and reads out terms that sound like jargon. She gestures to a big lockbox area, but I'd already left my phones at home. This was not my first rodeo. I go through the doors after signing the forms, and I am frisked twice by 2 guys with flat heads. This is new. My photo is taken, and I'm given a black face mask, like the COVID ones everyone was wearing, but this wasn't COVID times. I'm ushered up several flights of stairs, through this incredible, everything wooden hallway, and then taken to what was basically a huge, luxury living room. Flathead guy, wait here. My bag is returned to me a few minutes later. I'm told to set up blinds on this cool mirrored, hexagonal dish thing. I rack them, and about an hour later, Flathead comes in, gives me a huge wad of cash in an envelope with one of those wax buttons, and takes the hexagon plate. This goes on for an hour or so. Then Flathead comes for bags I'd been making up. We do this for an hour, back and forth, and he brings me another envelope. No wax button this time. After a while, I ask Flathead if I can go smoke. No. End up talking him round. Slav tings. We smoke outside, near this huge rose bush. He barely speaks. On the top floor of the mansion, I can see lights, sort of at the windows, but it does not look like a party is happening. A few hours later, after the back and forth, I go smoke again with Flathead. We barely get outside when this hot as fuck rich lady comes stumbling past us. She looks like J-Lo, but fatter. She composes herself and asks me for a cigarette. Flathead tries to usher her in, sort of, and she is like, get the fuck out of here. He begrudgingly goes under the courtyard roof, out of the way. Me and fake J-Lo mummy got a vibe going on. She is furious at her husband for some bullshit, but I don't really understand. Time to cook, husband. Ask her about the party, and she goes quiet, then says, it's not what I'd think. Okay. We smoke more. I give her what was basically bump for free. Fake J-Lo mommy loves the fantasy she's created in her head. She looks me up and down. Nice suit. Oh fuck. I'm for real gonna cook Mr. Lopez. Please smother me, fake J-Lo. Let's fucking go, boys. She rambled as she leads me through several different entrances, through a new door at the courtyard. Flathead is nowhere to be seen. Fuck you, Flathead. We get to a lift. A fucking lift in your house. In the lift, she pinches my face through the pre-COVID COVID mask like you would with a baby. Fuck yes. I'm about to fuck Fick J-Lo in this mansion. Jeff and on who? She leads me down a hallway that is lit up red. Kinky. We go through this huge fucking door. She enters a codon, and suddenly, music hits as we open. It's like the music was hidden behind the doors. Never seen anything like it. It was loud too. Worst music ever. It's like house music, but it's going a billion BPM or something. We walk down the hallways, and it leads to this huge hall. Lights flashing inside. People everywhere. Everyone has stupid black mask. No weird animal head mask or masquerade ball mask, just the COVID mask. I know I said earlier that the sex parties aren't like Eyes Wide Shut. This wasn't either, but it was more like it than the sex parties. It was like Eyes Wide Shut, but for yuppies on steroids, I guess. No rituals or cloaks or anything, but just weird vibe, also in the middle of the party. Music still very loud. Different color lights. I catch my bearings and see loads of people all chatting and drinking like crazy and taking drugs and shit at tables. For a second, I clock 2 guys with drugs at the tables also. That must be the next rung of the ladder. Other than the surroundings in this huge room, it all looks totally normal. J-Lo Fickums leads me around by the arm and is laughing. Fuck knows what is going on at this point. We walk by the edge of the back wall, and the people that are dancing aren't really dancing at all, I notice. Mostly kind of bobbing and chatting, and doing stupid, over-exaggerated poses whilst talking shit / bragging. Real rich people party time shit, but more aggressive. To the back of the room now, I start noticing a curtain where we're headed. It's a huge black curtain across like this stone archway. Here, security is near. They're not stood like a bouncer, but they are there to be seen. Don't want to get too close. These guys look even tougher than Flathead. J-Lo Fick Mommy says wait here for a while and watch over at the curtain. Eventually, some other security guy comes out from behind me and walks me through the curtains. As he whips the curtains, I catch a glimpse of girls behind, all sat in a row on a long sofa. Clearly hookers. I want to laugh. Lol. Thick J-Lo is pissed that her husband fucked hookers or something. One thing I learned about working around elite rich folks is that they all fuck each other behind their friend's back all the time. It is normal to them, whilst being kept secret that everyone knows anyway. I say to J-Lo Mommy, oh, hookers. Dreams of letting thick J-Lo bathe me. She doesn't seem flirty now. No, she says, not just hookers. She says that the girls are human trafficked. Again, not exactly a new thing to hear about in this line of work. Even with rich people, they get around that shit somehow. We walk back to the hall, and she says that these girls don't leave. What the fuck? They're slaves? No, she says. They don't leave after tonight. Confused. They finish the girls. Finish? They kill them, she says. Whatever, lol. J-Lo Fick is bonkers. I kind of try to shrug it off and say I need to go back down for my stuff. We leave through a different door this time, into like a long hall that reminded me of a bowling alley for some reason. Eventually, we get back in the lift. On the way down, J-Lo Mommy says the girls are ordered in, paid for, and a group of the partygoers that she said had some kind of finance network, not Illuminati shit, just boring banking shit, that are known there to pay to take them to another area to fuck them and then shoot them in the head in some kind of area elsewhere. I start to think I need to attack J-Lo Mommy and run, freaking me out. Fuck knows what she is saying. But no, I don't believe a word of it. Why the fuck would some rich people pay to randomly shoot a woman? She takes me back some of a route to the living room. On the way, she argues with another flathead, but it's not him, about bathrooms and ciggy breaks. Winks at me as she says it, still confused as fuck. When I get back to the luxury living room, she pinches my face and says she hopes I enjoyed the tale. Says I'm sworn to secrecy. Says it as a joke, but then mentions the forums and that I will have a nice drive home. I might sound stupid, but I'm not. I can pick up on shit. Felt weird. Thanks, crazy bitch. Eventually leave. Have my photo taken again. Frisked again. Weird night. Don't mention it to anyone because of stupid forms I signed. And I grew up knowing when to keep my fucking mouth shut. Also, I am a drug dealer to rich brats. This might sound weird, but I've seen plenty of strange shit and heard so many dumb stories. Weeks later, hanging out with GF. GF mentioned Seb. Oh yeah, says he really lost the plot. Has to be sectioned again properly. Her cousin told her that Seb has come up with a crazy conspiracy about hookers being shot for money. Rugby Anon part of it. GF laughs and says Seb is a crackhead. My blood runs cold. What the fuck? I don't say anything. I know this sounds fucking nuts, but it is how it happened. And I have no fucking idea if it was some stupid, rich people tale, or if it was legit, but I just watched an Epstein doc whilst high earlier, and I was like, fuck it, I'm telling the story here. That's it, man. I've never mentioned this shit to anyone, so there's not much else. My family are Serbs. I know when to shut the fuck up. But tonight hit different, and I needed to mention it some way. I don't fear for my life. It wasn't all weird, like Illuminati government shit. Just some very rich people, possibly doing some dog shit. I didn't see anyone famous or anything. Just got told that story, and then the Seb thing. It just plays on my mind. I'm no longer with GF, but I chop her now and then still. If I ask about Seb, she just shrugs. I don't think she knows anything she's not telling me. I just don't think she gives a fuck about anything other than herself. Rugby Anon said she is in Brussels, probably pretending to do work for his daddy. I need someone to listen to me. Okay, look, I'm really into SCP and analog horror stuff. I started out watching this kind of stuff a few years ago. I also don't know where I can feel safe putting the following thread on. The reason I say safety is on my mind is that I also watch a lot of CIA conspiracy video shit. You'll probably file this under a schizo shit to your horror thread, but I swear that the following, absolutely everything I say, will be the truth to how I experienced it. I have gone to therapy to overcome and essentially bury the events in my mind. If someone can help or is willing to listen to me, I would very much appreciate it. Through some mental gymnastics of my own, and extreme paranoia probably, I convinced myself that the radio was speaking to my thoughts. My co-workers were CIA, that I was being hazed by the CIA for possible recruitment, and that I was at the center of a gigantic operation to take down a drug lord in my area. Like I said, possible shitso incoming, but this is going to be how it went down. For good. I've been haunted by this since it happened, and I can't go on without getting it out of my fucking head. It's a residue of a time when I wasn't healthy, and regardless of whether it did happen or did not happen, I think this needs to be out there. More coming while I figure out where to start. Questions will help me sort my thoughts. This goes back to my kindergarten years. I don't know the exact time, but it was during or after 9/11. There was a rumor that one of my peers' fathers was a secret agent and was called to Washington directly after or on 9/11. I truly can't remember which. More to come, like I said. Questions will help me sort my thoughts. Whatever, I'm doing this whether you like it or not. Essentially, what went down is in grade school, I proposed a deal with the classmate mentioned previously to find me someday and talk to me about recruitment. I knew what a secret agent was, and I knew that there had to be a way to become one. So why not talk to the kid with the secret agent dad? Now this kid wasn't around for a long time, but I remember a few things. 1. This kid knew about social manipulation techniques. He was telling the whole class about how when multiple people have the same story, it's easier to get people to believe it. 2. That he was at school on 9/11. 3. That he, someone in the classroom or a teacher or someone thought that his dad was at or near the Twin Towers. 3. He was not scared that his dad was hurt, and in fact, knew that his dad would be safe. How do I know this? When the television was turned on, he told us that his dad was in New York that day. The teacher was really concerned about the safety of his dad, but he just replied, "I shit you not. No, he's supposed to be there." Kid was promptly picked up from school right as the first tower fell. We were all told to remain at our desks as our teachers convened. If nothing else, let this be a testament to how the human mind is fucked up. Honestly, don't remember the rest of the day, but we saw one tower fall for sure. I've spoken to kids in my class, and they have no recollection of this kid's dad being a secret agent, or even the kid existing, which is extra fucked up because I met up with him a few years ago. I can touch on this later, but I need to get more of the exposition out. My father used to work for a government organization as well. In fact, not Alphabet though, just for the state. However, my grandfather and his grandfather were confirmed Freemasons. This is information coming directly from my father and mumbled to me by my grandfather on a car trip. After he told us, he got really sick and not quite as sharp as he used to be. Before, I swear he was quick as lightning, but he was hit hard by something in his mind. My grandmother swore up and down that someone was watching her from across the street. Now keep in mind, this is not some trailer park. My grandmother and grandfather live on an island where houses regularly go for millions of dollars. They were well-to-do people, and suddenly, my granddad gets what we thought was Alzheimer's or dementia, and my grandma is swearing up and down someone is trying to get into the house and is watching from the neighbor's home after having no previous signs of illness. My grandfather was an engineer, grandmother a nurse. They were smart people, but I swear to whatever is out there that something happened to them that was unnatural. I digress. They slowly but surely became husks of themselves, and when asked about the surveillance scare my grandmother had and my grandfather being a Mason, my family quickly stopped and discouraged talk of either. I've never had my dad once agree with me on anything, but when it comes to this we agree. There are items, books, logs that are missing from my grandparents' house. Side note, I'm currently discussing my family's history with my father. More on that soon. Sorry, was having a long conversation with my father. The short of it is that when my grandparents were settling down, this was brand new, unsettled land on the island, so no one really knew what was on the land previously. This led to the discussion of a 1960-ish flood that reached literally 6 feet high in some places and washed away a great deal of debris from a recent hurricane. He remembered the name of a man and that he had stolen a book from his aunt. This was when he was in his early childhood, but he distinctly remembers the man taking multiple things from her home and not being prosecuted for it. I don't really know what to say there though. I had an idea, one I thought was pretty interesting, but my father's face dropped and we met eyes like nothing I've ever seen from him before. I suggested that my grandmother said the exact same thing about her neighbor when she and my grandfather were getting sick, and my dad kind of froze like he had seen a ghost. He seemed really uncomfortable and I stopped asking him questions. Is anyone even still here? I really need to know I'm not just talking to the void, because I'll be honest, I am scared. My grandfather was on a ship. He was at least 93 when he died a few years ago. From how he described it, he was either in the Navy or the Coast Guard, but he had seen some interesting things. My girlfriend's dad has also seen some weird shit in the Navy, but that is another discussion that I don't think she would appreciate me having without her consent, and one I would butcher anyway. For my granddad, I don't know. He slowly said less and less over the course of months, till he just slept with his eyes open most of the time. It was really sad at the time, but it's even worse thinking what I think now. Someone wanted him to forget. Someone wanted my dad to forget. And I think I may have just accidentally reminded him of something. I'll keep you guys updated. Still alive. I don't think I've said enough to get banned yet. Is that what they call it? Did they ever call it that? Isn't it the 4chan party van or something, Lama? I remember seeing a model of that in Roblox once. Once my granddad passed away, we got a look at the stuff he had in the attic. Ship manifests from the 1800s, scrimshaw carvings from whaling vessels, a ton of shit. My dad used to kick around a whale vertebrae when he was a kid. They had so many odds and ends, it was unbelievable. But the one thing he swears is missing from my grandparents' house is my granddad's father's chest, and a series of diaries from my great-great-grandfather. Here are more things that I know. My great-grandfather was a Mason. My grandfather was hazed, and they tried to make him a Mason. My dad's status is unknown. He may not remember anything. Here is the kicker though. I'm pretty sure that through a series of events, my grandfather was involved in experiments having to do with astral projection. Him spilling the beans about his Masonic ties perfectly coincides with his mental and physical decline. I really want to continue getting this out, but I might need to come back another time. Is that something I can even do on 4chan?